The origins of human beings according to ancient Sumerian texts, or the land of civilized kings, flourished in Mesopotamia, now modern-day Iraq, around 4500 BC. Sumerians created an advanced civilization with its own system of elaborate language and writing, architecture and arts, astronomy and mathematics. Their religious system was a complex one comprised of hundreds of gods. According to the ancient texts, each Sumerian city was guarded by its own god, and while humans and gods used to live together, the humans were servants to the gods. The Sumerian creation myth can be found on a tablet in Nippur, an ancient Mesopotamian city founded in approximately 5000 BC. The creation of Earth, in Numa Elish, according to the Sumerian tablets begins like this. When in the height heaven was not named, and the earth beneath did not yet bear a name, and the primeval Apsu, to begat them, and Chaos, Tiamat, the mother of them both. Their waters were mingled together, and no field was formed, no marsh was to be seen. When of the gods none had been called into being, and none bore a name, and no destinies were ordained. Then were created the gods in the midst of heaven. Lamu and Lahamu were called into being. Sumerian mythology claims that, in the beginning, human-like gods ruled over earth. When they came to the earth, there was much work to be done and these gods toiled the soil, digging to make it habitable and mining its minerals. The texts mention that at some point the gods mutinied against their labor. When the gods like men bore the work and suffered the toll. The toil of the gods was great. The work was heavy, that the stress was much. Anu, the god of gods, agreed that their labor was too great. His son Enki, or Ea, proposed to create man to bear the labor, and so, with the help of his half-sister Ninki, he did. A god was put to death, and his body and blood was mixed with clay. From that material the first human being was created, in likeness to the gods. You have slaughtered a god together with his personality. I have removed your heavy work. I have imposed your toil on man. In the clay, God and man shall be bound to a unity brought together, so that to the end of days, the flesh and the soul, which in a god have ripened, that soul and a blood kinship be bound. This first man was created in Eden, a Sumerian word which means flat terrain. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, Eden is mentioned as the garden of the gods and is located somewhere in Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Initially human beings were unable to reproduce on their own, but were later modified with the help of Enki and Ninki. Thus, Adapa was created as a fully functional and independent human being. This modification was done without the approval of Enki's brother, Enlil, and a conflict between the gods began. Enlil became the adversary of man, and the Sumerian tablet mentions that men served gods and went through much hardship and suffering. Adapa, with the help of Enki, ascended to Anu where he failed to answer a question about the bread and water of life. Opinions vary on the similarities between this creation story and the biblical story of Adam and Eve in Eden.